It's Wednesday, November 16. In the headlines, gun amnesty continues. 20 firearms collected so far. Jamaica and China commemorate 50 years of diplomatic relations. Regionally, over in Trinidad and Tobago, Port of Spain and Shanghai to become sister cities. Internationally, former U.S. President Donald Trump announces re-election bid. And in sports, Brathwaite looking forward to the test match series between West Indies and Australia. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. Hundreds of Jamaicans are set to benefit from a new agreement brokered by the Ministry of Health and Wellness. Portfolio Minister Christopher Tufton told Parliament on Tuesday that his ministry has signed 8 agreements with private institutions for the delivery of more than 500 surgeries under the Code Care intervention as part of its efforts to reduce the backlog of elective surgeries in Jamaica,
which we anticipate will take place over the next 10 months. Could be more depending on the pace and depending on what we are able to do within the public system to clear up this backlog.
The Code Care program aims to remove 2,000 patients who are waiting for elective surgery from the public system and give them access to health treatments that enhance their quality of life. The institutions include Andrews Memorial Hospital, the Heart Institute of the Caribbean, Medical Associates, the University Hospital of the West Indies and Winchester Surgical and Medical Institute in Kingston. In Western Jamaica, G West Medical and Surgery Center, Hospital Montego Bay, and Montego Bay Hospital and Urology Center have agreed to provide their services.
This modality has been used on many other jurisdictions and have been shown to be effective in not only reducing the backlog, but also bolster the quality of care by reducing the patient load in the public sector. Again, Madam Speaker, we're operating on the principle that there should be one health and no distinction between public and private.
Additionally, a total of $950 million has been allotted for the project, with the majority of funding to be used to renovate and upgrade 9 operating theaters in 4 hospitals. Of the sum, $80 million is earmarked for rehabilitating operating theaters in the public health system, $200 million for private-public partnerships, $223 million for equipment, $279 million for nursing missions, and $153 million for additional staff hours, $23 million for project management, and $59 million for communications. The latest Code Care agreement was inked on November 10, and approximately 115 surgeries have so far been conducted under the program,
many of whom have been waiting for over 4 years. We started with the longest waits. This number also includes approximately 35 children who received surgeries for ear, nose, and throat procedures at the Bustamante Hospital for Children.
The health minister says in order to lessen Jamaica's challenges with staffing and training, 2 memoranda of understanding have been inked with the University of Miami and Hartford Health System.
The MOUs that have been signed opens the door for greater collaboration in technology and enhanced use of telemedicine for the delivery of healthcare and the training of specialists within the sector. The discussions coming on the MOUs have started. A proposed or draft joint training course outline have been developed, and the idea is to train our first batch of specialist nurses jointly by these institutions. So in one case it will be between the government and the University of Miami Health System. In another case it will be between government and Hartford Health System.
Operators of taxis and passenger buses are back on the job following protest action on Monday and Tuesday. The directive to return to work came on the heels of a meeting with Minister of Transportation, Audley Shaw, and the Transport Authority on Tuesday afternoon. President of the Transport Operators Development Sustainable Services, Edgerton Newman, said in a release, After listening to the varied concerns, the minister asked that the transport operators put in place a proposal outlining the request for a payment plan and how it could be implemented. Transport operators withdrew their services on Monday, causing significant losses in production. On Tuesday, some schools remained closed because of the protest action. The operators wanted the government to grant them a period of amnesty to pay outstanding traffic tickets. Chairman of the PSOJ's Standing Committee on National Security and Justice, George Overton, has confirmed the organization's support for the declaration of a state of emergency in response to the crime wave across the island. The imposition of the SOEs follow a 6% hike in murders as of November 13. He's quoted saying the state of emergency will improve movement within certain communities because people will feel safer in moving around. He's also repeating the PSOJ's call for greater collaboration between the government and the parliamentary opposition on matters of national security. 20 firearms have been handed over to the police since the start of the government's gun amnesty. Speaking at a press briefing at Jamaica House on Tuesday, Minister of National Security Dr. Horace Chang confirmed the number of guns handed over.
We have offered an amnesty. We have seen a few coming in, those in fact that we actually anticipated, guns that were at home and have not been licensed for some time. The criminals have yet to respond in significant numbers, but we'll be looking for them in every corner, in particular in these 10 police divisions we have identified. It's the weapon of choice in inspiring fear and killing Jamaican citizens. We will pursue them and hunt them and apprehend them.
The amnesty started on November 5 and will end on November 19. On Tuesday, representatives of the Chinese officialdom in Jamaica, members of the government and others gathered together to commemorate the 50th year of Chinese-Jamaica diplomatic relations. The event was held at the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel in Kingston. The Golden Jubilee marks 50 years of mutual trust and respect, according to China's ambassador to Jamaica, Chen Zhuoyang. Maya Chung was there and filed this report.
His Excellency Chen Daojiang, Chinese ambassador to Jamaica, addressed those who joined together to commemorate the occasion.
It gives me great pleasure to gather with you to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between the People's Republic of China and Jamaica. Guests present here come from different sectors in Jamaica. You witnessed, participated in, and contributed to China-Jamaica relations and cooperation. I'd like to take this chance to extend my sincere thanks.
The ambassador said that Jamaica has achieved a triple jump in bilateral relations, namely from the establishment of diplomatic relations to a friendly relationship seeking common development. The ambassador said the two nations have been successfully supporting each other on matters involving core interests and major concerns. Chen Daojiang said that the two nations are embarking on a new journey to jointly create a brighter future for China-Jamaica relations. He added that China and Jamaica's leaders and high-level officials have been keeping up close communication and have been leveraging their roles in strategic guidance to continuously enhance their country's political mutual trust.
Since the outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic, all our countries have extended mutual assistance in solidarity to pull through the hardships together. Vaccines and mobile vaccination buses donated by China were widely welcomed. China and Jamaica jointly wrote a new chapter of China-Jamaica friendship.
He said that the fundamental reasons for the steady and sound development of China-Jamaica relations in the past 50 years are as follows. Successive generations of the two nations' leaders from a strategic and long-term perspective always advanced their countries' relations along the right track. He said our countries always followed the principle of openness and cooperation for mutual benefits and win-win outcomes, striving for the happiness of our people and the prosperity of our countries.
We recall, Ambassador, as you have noted, with great pride, that it was on the 21st of November 1972 that Jamaica created diplomatic history when it became the first English-speaking Caribbean country to formally recognize the One China policy through the establishment of diplomatic relations with the People's Republic of China. Over these 50 years, Jamaica and China have nurtured a positive, dynamic, and vibrant relationship that has grown from strength to strength. We can be proud that our special relationship is rooted in mutual respect and shared values and remains nourished by deep and genuine people-to-people engagement. Indeed, this firm foundation allows for robust cooperation at the bilateral, regional, and multilateral levels.
For PBCJ News, I'm Maya Chung.
Several Jamaican artists have been nominated for the 65th Grammy Awards. The nominees for Best Reggae Album are Third Time's The Charm by Protege, The Calling by Kabaka Pyramid, Scorcher by Sean Paul, Gifted by Coffee, and Come Fly With Me by Shaggy. In the business report, NCB gets approval to offer remittance via link. Danita Rodney is at the business desk. She has that story plus your Forex and other regular market updates.
The NCB Financial Group has received approval from the Bank of Jamaica to offer remittance services, and it will be done through its mobile wallet link.
The Bank of Jamaica has just recently granted our subsidiary, TFOB, approval to operate a remittance service as a primary agent. We will offer this service through our mobile wallet link. This is a continuation of our efforts to be at the forefront of the digital revolution in the region, driving payments and financial innovation. Link is now the first digital primary agent to receive approval to operate remittance services. This is a significant development for us as we continue to drive financial inclusion and bridge the gap between banked individuals and those who are unbanked or underbanked while tapping into a $3.3 billion industry.
Speaking at the company's recent investor briefing, CEO Richard Hilton said the company has been able to expand its financial services for the M-Bank through Link.
With Link, payments to businesses and transfers to individuals are both free and instant. Paperless registration can be done via mobile device, relieving customers of the need to visit a branch or any other location to sign up. As a result, we have been able to expand access to financial services for the unbanked, removing many pain points from the typical banking experience, and this thanks to a regulator environment that enables greater financial inclusion and our development of this fintech company.
The Link Wallet, which was launched in late 2021, currently offers several payment options to wallet holders, including local money transfers, bill payments, and mobile top-up. For your market updates, in foreign exchange trading for Tuesday, November 15, the US dollar sold for an average of $154.66. The Canadian dollar ended trading at $116.77. The pound sterling traded for $181.33, and the euro sold for an average of $160.71. In JSE trading, the JSE index declined by 570 points. The junior market index advanced by 24 points. The combined market index declined by 307 points. And the All Jamaican Composite Index declined by 622 points. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 112 stocks, of which 53 advanced, 46 declined, and 13 traded firm. Stocks advanced for Access Financial Services Limited, Barita Investments Limited, and Cargo Handlers Limited. Stocks declined for 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited, AMG Packaging and Paper Company Limited, and Berger Paints Jamaica Limited. Trading firm were 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited Verbal Preference, Caribbean Assurance Brokers Limited, and Caribbean Cement Company Limited. The overall volume leaders were Trans-Jamaican Highway Limited with over 3 million units, Wigton Wind Farm Limited Ordinary Shares with over 2 million units, and QWI Investments Limited with over 1 million units. In regional stocks, in Trinidad and Tobago, Clico Investment Fund was once again the only security posting over 70,000 shares. On the Barbados Stock Exchange, First Caribbean International Bank was the volume leader with 3,000 shares. They were followed by Goddard Enterprises Limited, which traded 62 shares. In international business, the meltdown at FTX and rising fears of contagion to other crypto firms. Here are the week's big stories in the world of alternative money.
It has not been a good few days for FTX boss Sam Bankman-Fried. His exchange filed for bankruptcy on Friday after a surge in withdrawals. It now faces investigations around the world and warns it could be pursued by more than 1 million creditors. The company's collapse has seen more than $190 billion wiped from the value of the overall crypto market. Rival crypto firms rushed to distance themselves from FTX. But contagion remains the big worry for investors like Bianco research boss Jim Bianco.
FTX.com just didn't have individual investors as their clients. They had other brokerage firms, hedge funds, trading shops.
Crypto.com was one to face the spotlight. Chief Executive Chris Marzalik made an address on YouTube to rebut claims the firm...
In regional news, in Trinidad and Tobago, the cities of Port of Spain and Shanghai have officially signed the letter of intent to become sister cities. Mayor of Port of Spain, Joel Martinez, says it signifies the intention of the two countries to continue working together towards development in the areas of finance, trade, culture, sports, public health and education in the cities. Mahala Joseph Wharton has more.
Mayor of Port of Spain, Joel Martinez, said Trinidad and Tobago and China already have deep bilateral ties.
In bringing the two cities, which has never happened before, which is like East meets West, it really is a significant morning for all of us in the city of Port of Spain, which is our capital city, for really and truly bringing the people of Shanghai and the people of Port of Spain together.
Ambassador of the People's Republic of China, Fang Chiu, said both Shanghai and Port of Spain have shared a long history of friendly and mutual beneficial cooperations in the past few years.
For example, during the pandemic, the two cities extending helping hand to each other at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, a vivid manifestation of how the two countries and peoples, standing shoulder by shoulder to fight against the virus. And for example, the Napa, the new landmark of Port of Spain, the construction, is also by the Chinese company from Shanghai.
Minister of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs Dr. Amory Brown said the twinning further strengthens the relationship between the two countries.
The twinning is inextricably linked to the establishment of a beautiful Chinatown on Charlotte Street in Port of Spain. When I attended the unveiling of the completed project early last year, it was obvious to me that Chinatown, a very visible demonstration of the friendship between Port of Spain and Shanghai, would be a most effective mechanism to ensure that the sister city relationship is seen.
The signing of the letter of intent signals a continuation of the trade and cultural partnerships between both countries.
Barbados Prime Minister Mia Mottley has expressed concern about the use of high-powered assault weapons. She was speaking to members of the media on Tuesday at the Grantley Adams International Airport after returning from a trip to the COP27 conference in Egypt and visiting a number of other African countries.
We were the most shocked people when we came to office to find the state of lack of security at the ports that we found. I've made and said enough, including 2 Saturdays ago, that I have not yet seen guns that are biodegradable. And therefore, once they come in, they're going to be there rusty or good or well-oiled or functioning or not. And the reality is that what we are now reaping is what we've sown over a period of time. Now, it's not Barbados alone, and let's get context too. You have a United States of America that has gone crazy. And we have to get a hemispheric approach to ban assault weapons, because the truth is, it is the automatic weapons that create even greater fear more than anything else, because a one shot is a one shot. But when a man can let go in seconds, that is what is causing the problem. And the reality is that throughout every Caribbean country, throughout every Central and Latin American country, but above all else, worse than that, in the United States of America that is responsible for the manufacturing, this is what we're facing. So we can't solve the problem only by dealing with it, but we must deal with that. And that is why even the truth verification at the ports, I'm deeply upset that it's taken as long as it has to do it. I've spoken internally about it. Everybody who works in a sensitive position has to make up their mind that they have to be subject to different types of rules and conditions than those who don't work in those sensitive positions. That's what it is. That, to whom much is given, much is expected.
Guyana has secured assistance from the Canadian government to make mental health care more accessible among young people and at the community level.
The High Commissioner of Canada in Guyana joined local healthcare professionals on Tuesday to launch a new program which seeks to build a stronger and more sustainable mental health system locally. Through a 5-year, $2.9 million Canadian dollars project, the team hopes to support local organizations to make mental health care more accessible among young people and at the community level. Titled Safeguarding the Human Dignity and Rights of Populations at Risk for Ill Mental Health in Vulnerable Communities Across Guyana, the new project is being funded by Global Affairs Canada and executed by Canadian partner, the International Development and Relief Foundation. Canadian High Commissioner Mark Berman attended the launch on Tuesday at the Arthur Chung Conference Centre. He explained that the project will be focusing on mental health and strengthening the availability and capacity of mental health services at both the community and school levels to address, among other things, comparatively high suicide rates.
We therefore recognize the importance of tackling the problem of mental illness both at home and globally. Canada is providing funding worldwide to experienced partners such as the IDRF to ensure mental health and psychosocial support is available to those who need it most.
The project launch coincided with the ongoing Mental Health and Wellbeing Conference, and Berman explained that it was timely to support the government now and over the next 5 years. Noting that this is Canada's first mental health program in the Caribbean, Berman also congratulated the government on the recent passage of the Suicide Prevention Bill in the National Assembly.
In the Bahamas, it's been more than a week since the government announced the collapse of the sale of the Grand Lucayan Resort, leaving many to wonder what the Davis administration's next move would be. Our news sought some answers from Deputy Prime Minister Chester Cooper.
Nothing new since the press release last week.
Some say they believe the reason for the collapse of the sale is the slow movement on the redevelopment of the Grand Bahama International Airport. You may remember that the airport was destroyed by Hurricane Dorian back in 2019, forcing officials to move the airport to the former private facility, which residents say is simply not adequate for the nation's second city. The DPM calling a lot of the comments surrounding the sale of the hotel and the airport redevelopment speculation.
I've listened intently to many members of the former board speaking to matters on which they have no information. Let me just say that we have laid out the circumstances as it relates to Grand Lucayan. Suffice to say, we are in the final stages of selecting the provider for the rebuilding of the Grand Bahama Airport. So I am not going to get into a back and forth with persons who had a mandate to sell the property and didn't do so.
He says the Davis administration will do what's in the best interest of the Bahamian people.
We will do what's in the best interest of Grand Bahama, and suffice to say, as we've laid out before, we are pressing forward, and I am confident that we will be able to do a transaction or a pivot as it relates to the Grand Lucayan Resort, that's going to be in the best interest of the people.
On the international scene, notwithstanding the fact that he is facing multiple criminal investigations and the poor performance of the candidates he had backed in last week's midterm elections, former U.S. President Donald Trump has announced he will run for president again in 2024. Al Jazeera has that report.
This will not be my campaign. This will be our campaign all together.
It was the announcement former President Donald Trump made despite advisors suggesting it wasn't a good idea.
In order to make America great and glorious again, I am tonight announcing my candidacy for President of the United States.
It was also the announcement his supporters have been waiting for. Outside Mar-a-Lago, only a few dozen Trump supporters were out, but they had plenty to say.
He's still our president. He never stopped. It's just unfortunate that things took place the way they did, but he never took concession. He still is the president. He still is the commander-in-chief.
No one respects the current president. World leaders think of him as weak, and that's just not the man we need right now.
The Republican Party was hoping that a red wave during midterm elections would solidify their standing in the 2024 presidential election. But many of the congressional candidates that Trump backed, including those in key states, lost in a stunning fashion. He's facing multiple investigations on different fronts. Congressional hearings are ongoing into Trump's involvement in the January 6 Capitol riots. Liz Cheney, a member of Congress who's on the investigating committee, says Trump is detached from reality.
It's also really important for people to look at what's happening and what he's doing, not just through a political lens, but through the basic facts of his total lack of fitness for office. He's unstable.
He's also being investigated for his efforts to overturn the 2020 election results and his handling of classified documents that were seized from his Mar-a-Lago estate. He also faces several criminal investigations involving his Trump Organization. All that didn't seem to deter Trump from standing in his resort in West Palm Beach, Florida, and proclaiming that he is the only candidate the Republicans should support. Despite the disunity within the Republican Party over whether or not to support Trump for president, he's still very popular with a lot of Republican voters. It's a base that other Republican candidates will definitely want to tap into.
In sports, the Issa Da Costa Cup is moving into the semi-finals. Manchester High will face Central High in the semi-finals after they beat Edwin Allen 2-0. Clarendon College topped the group with a maximum 9 points after thrashing Dint Hill Technical 4-0. They will face the Mannings School next. In the day's other game, William Knibb and Frome drew 0-0. In other sporting news, with the intensity of the T20 World Cup subsiding, the attention now turns to the Test match series between West Indies and Australia, which is set to bowl off on November 30 in Perth. Red Ball captain Craig Brathwaite says he's looking forward to the Test team's continued improvement.
What is the big focus is that we have 10 days of Test cricket, and we want to be playing a good solid 10 days of Test cricket, and that is the big focus for us, rather than, thinking about the end result. We're here in Australia against a very good team, so, we got to prepare well.
This two-match Test series will be Coach Phil Simmons' final one with the Windies senior men, and Brathwaite is motivating his team to provide a fitting send-off.
And, it's his last series, so we're looking to give him a 10 days, as I said, 10 solid days of Test cricket, and I love to make, him and obviously, West Indies fans proud. But, I think he did a fantastic job as a coach. Obviously went through some tough times, like every cricketer would, and every team and every coach. But, we look forward to these last, his last 10 days as coach, and as a team, we look to gel together and, make Caribbean proud.
And that's the news on PBC Jamaica. You can follow us on our social media platforms at PBC Jamaica. Thanks so much for watching.